Hey everyone, welcome back to Market Psychology 101, where we try to find value where there is fear and to be cautious where there's greed. If you like anything I say in today's video, please like and subscribe. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I wanted to speak with you guys a bit more about the RSI. Now, for any of who don't know, RSI is the Relative Strength Index. And this area above 70 here shows when things are overbought and under 30 when things are oversold. And I've talked in a few of my previous videos that when we are oversold, it is typically a good time to buy. However, one thing I like to do is watch as it double or even triple taps the oversold and see what it does. Because as you can see down here, that when it triple tapped, it went even lower. Okay, and that would have been another great time to buy. Again, this is for things you believe in, things that you like. None of this is financial advice. So let's take a look at Bitcoin here. And I put the RSI and these charts on the weekly. And I want you to notice something. We're just going to take a look at this 50 line right in the middle. And let's take a look all the way back before the 2017 bull run of when Bitcoin's below the 50 RSI line as to what that would have done for us. So back here, great time to buy. Over here, had a little bit more selling to do. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're a hodler, buying here would not be the worst time if you were waiting for the next bull run. That was about 4 years later, 4 years later. So here, not the worst times to buy. If you think of 4-year cycles, anything in here actually was great. Here, when it hit the very oversold part of the RSI, the best time to buy, we had the climb to 14,000. And I'm curious if the current market right now for crypto is acting kind of similar to that. I'm just curious. Not saying the bull run can't come early, but I am wondering if we are getting something similar. As you can see, the RSI is around 85 in both circumstances. But remember, here, in its first leg up, it wasn't done yet. So I'm wondering if this is going to come down, come back up like it did here, and get a little bit higher. Maybe Bitcoin gets to somewhere like, 50,000 or even 60. Who knows? Anyways, RSI under 50, good time to buy. RSI under 50, good time to buy. Here, COVID crash, great time to buy. Again, try to find value where there is fear. And we didn't get it again until here. Now, 4-year cycle, all things considered, if you're a believer in the 4-year cycle, you would have probably thought that, up here would have been the time to sell. And even any pullbacks after that you shouldn't be chasing, and you might as well just wait it out. So I did not buy back in here when crypto did have this big pullback. I remember this being a very risky time, so I just stayed out. But let's continue. RSI under 50. Funny enough, back here, there was a lot of YouTube videos and people talking about how maybe we were getting some level of support and people were expecting Bitcoin crypto to do like a head and shoulders pattern. I remember people talking about that a lot. And I guess you could maybe call this a head and shoulders, but maybe if you're Quasimodo, but that movement was pretty weak, and then we had the big sell-off. Okay, RSI extremely oversold, but for the next bull run, you could argue anything in here would have been a good time to buy. We're going up, up, up. RSI went under 50, and that still would have been a good time to buy overall. So, if you're trading or investing purely off of the relative strength index, which I don't recommend it, guys, this is just one tool of many tools that you can have. Again, I'll show you different indicators over time. This bot alert one, I like it on the weekly or even the monthly. It'll show you great times to buy, but the signals are more rare on the longer time frames. Let's take a look at the RSI on the S&P 500. anytime it's below 50. Look, we got a buy signal there. Been going parabolic ever since. Not a bad time. Great time to buy. Great time to buy. Anytime it gets near this oversold area, if you're looking at the S&P, check out some of the stocks that you like. Maybe they are in a similar position. Oversold under 50, great time to buy. So on and so on. Let's go back to the last time that we had a big recession. That was 2008, the financial crisis. Okay. So, and this is why this is important. Look, if you would have followed this RSI under 50 portion here, obviously it took from 06, you can see on the bottom, July of 06 to January of 11, so 4.5 years to get back there. If you were only buying the RSI under 50, you would have had to wait 4 or 5 years to get back to even. So this isn't an absolute perfect strategy. Obviously, we do want to find the flaws in some of the strategies so we know what other types of things to look for. The RSI can be one thing, but again, I like to see when it taps, double taps, and then look what happened here. We just kept selling off. And here, one of the other things you could have looked for as an investor is we were making lower lows, lower highs. There wasn't a lot of things bullish at the time. The trend was going down. And so there wasn't anything to really indicate. Let me just draw a line here. I'm going to draw a line in the RSI. There wasn't anything to indicate that we broke our trend up. Sorry, I know that's a lazy line. Now here, as we crossed up, you could have been like, okay, this is the confirmed bottom, and I will buy right here. Okay, and it's interesting that as it crosses above that line there, that I have this line here. I'm seeing this for the first time with you guys, and here's why I have that line there is because we've gotten near it and touched it in 2018, and there's even some support there as well in 2020, and then we've been hitting that line, bouncing off of it a few times recently. So, our trend line's everything. No, it's just something that's, I don't know, I find interesting sometimes. And as you start drawing your charts and looking for areas of when to buy, I highly recommend this site. It is tradingview.com. Just play around with some of the things. You never know what patterns or things you might see to give you an indication of something that may be a good time to buy or not. But anyways, let's take a look at some stocks with this RSI technique that we're looking at here. RSI, anything under 50. Overall, not the worst times to buy. If you are a long-term holder, anytime the RSI is under 50, you're getting more value. Okay? Now again, here's a time I went under 50, and it took a year about to get back to break even, but that's okay. Here, if you would have just been dollar cost averaging. And so, this is a strategy for buying and holding, obviously. And then here's 2008. If you would have bought in here, sure, you would have had to wait, a year or so. So it did better than the S&P overall, Apple, because the S&P, it's the 500, top 500 stocks. Right now, in this current bull market, something you've probably been hearing about is the low breadth. And what breadth means is that the top stocks have a larger percentage of value than the overall stock market. So the top stocks in the Magnificent Seven, as they're called, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, Nvidia, Meta, what else am I forgetting? Google, and crap, I always forget the other one. But anyways, more money has been flowing into those than some of the smaller stocks. Now, people have been recently talking about a rotation happening, possibly from bigger stocks and the smaller stocks. And, if we zoom way out, let's take this off the page so we can see it clear. As we zoom way out, something I want you to notice is that sometimes, we can get this sideways motion for a bit before we blast off. There's some instances where we have a little bit of sideways motion, not as bad as back here, but Apple really took off after the iPod days. But are we due for a little bit of sideways motion? Maybe. You could say during the 90s we had sideways motions, the 2000s to 2010 we went up, and here somewhat sideways motion, I guess you can say. And then we shot up a bit, so who knows? Let's take a look at another stock, Amazon. Right now it's on the monthly. But heck, let's just take a look at this for a moment. Monthly, when the RSI is below the monthly, what's the stock doing? Okay, here, man, Amazon, is at a juicy price. I was waiting for this to go below 80. I was waiting for it. I was hoping for it, and it just never did. So I regret not getting more in on that one. But if you just take a look at the monthly RSIs, not a bad time to buy. But let's go to the weekly because that's what we were looking at before. Anytime, and it's funny, sometimes you'll see it bounce around 50, maybe do a little bit of a fake out, here when it comes down. And again, if you buy exclusively when it goes below 50, may not be the best time. Again, you can take a look for confirmation. Is it going to double tap, triple tap? If it's double and triple tapping and making lower lows, you can draw a trend line and wait for it. You can already see there's kind of a trend down here, maybe a little fake out there, but as it starts to confirm that it's getting above and making higher lows in the RSI, that would be a good time for you to buy. So I just wanted you guys to notice that in a lot of crypto YouTubers channels, they will have RSI down here. And again, all because we're getting lower lows in the RSI or hitting lows doesn't always dictate as big of price action. As you've seen before, sometimes we might double tap it, triple tap it, and we'll get a little bit of a drop. For some stocks or cryptos, it might be very big. For some, it might just be kind of sideways. So even here, if you're looking at 50, here we tapped the 50, here we were going up, here we went under 50 and it went sideways. So all because the RSI went lower does not mean the price has to go lower. The price went sideways, even though the RSI went lower. And so then when it went higher, as you can see, that's why people know we are in a bull market for crypto. Is because when we went lower than where it was before, price action only went sideways. It did not go down. So the energy, the movement is going up. Here, as you can see, we're just going lower. So I just wanted to show you guys that. It's just one thing to look for. And so, the time to buy crypto, in my opinion, is not now, as things are overbought. Whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's, let's take a look at another crypto here, whether it's Cardano, things are overbought. The time to buy is back when things are oversold. But again, here, if you take a look at the RSI, look, it's even above where we are now. So, I like to wait for us to double tap, triple tap, and those are not bad times to DCA in. And you do it for what you like. You might not see profits for a while, but eventually when you do, if you do believe in crypto's 4-year cycle, maybe you'll see some good returns later on down the road. And as I showed you with some of the Mag 7 stocks like Apple and Amazon, that overall, on the weekly even, when you just buy when the RSI is below 50, overall, you'll see pretty good returns. We had that one anomaly with 2008, the great financial crisis. And, with that being said, something I want to show you guys. I, I put this on here once, the pi cycle, Bitcoin high low. The thing with 2008 that's also interesting is look at that. It's a pi cycle low. And if we go to all, look at the only two times we got a pi cycle low: the 1929 crash and the great financial crisis. So that's only happened twice in the last 100 years. Some people are calling for another similar crash to happen again. And this one was very bad, so and overall, we made it through it. We're okay. So, are we going to get another pi cycle low to where, look at this, it goes below the red line moving average here? Maybe. I have heard some people talking about um, the S&P falling and getting some support around these levels, kind of the, what was this, 2700, to 3000. I personally, I'm not that bearish. A couple levels I'm eyeing is like 32, 33 to 3500 at lowest. I mean, anything even below right here, 3800 or even 4000, depending on the stocks you like, might be good times to buy. If you're looking to dollar cost average and just hold for a while. Again, I'm talking at least for stocks, 5-year holds. For crypto, things can be even more volatile. And if we get into a recession, um, it can get even worse. We could possibly see, return to these lows around 20,000, who knows, maybe even down to 14,000. I know there's some perma bears on YouTube. They talk about things going to 5,000. I'm not sure I buy that personally. Um, Even if we had another great financial crisis type event, I'm wondering if, you know, I would have a hard time seeing crypto in the worst situation go below 12. That's my personal opinion. But anyways, let's just wrap it up there. Um, Guys, as you know, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. What I do have is experience and knowledge, a lot of knowledge and experience in the field of psychology, and I've applied that to investing and overall done pretty well for myself. So, with Market Psychology 101, we're trying to find value where there is fear. When things are oversold, that's when there's fear in the market. And right now, if we just go to the crypto fear and greed index, right here, we're in the greed level. We're not quite extreme greed. I'm waiting for that. I feel like it's coming soon. But even in the last year, we're as high as we've been greed wise. So, time in the market to me is more important than timing the market. When things suck, when there's a lot of fear, when the RSI is very oversold, those tend to be good times to buy and hold. So, but again, none of this is financial advice. I hope this video was helpful to you and that you guys are enjoying your weekend. I'm not sure if I'll get any videos out by the holidays. I'll try. But if not, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all that stuff. And I hope you all have a great break, great holidays. Take care.